What's that word? What's that word, family? Hey, man, check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Is to the streets. Is to the mother effing streets. It's your homeboy, Low from the Go. I'm back with another episode of Members Only Podcast. Check this out. Can you see it? It's helloblackman.com, man. Helloblackman.com. This is a journal right here. But helloblackman.com, what they do is they give you journals. And they ask you questions, daily questions that you can fill out every single day. And that way you can track your progression no matter where you are. I suggest this for brothers that's locked up. You know, they can speak their minds and the questions are already there. So go to helloblackman.com, pick up your journal. They also have Hello Black Woman, Hello Black Child, Hello Black College Student. Check those guys out, man. Shout out to helloblackman.com for sending me a shirt and the Journey Journal because I'm on my journey right now, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today I got a couple of special guests in the building with me, your homeboy, Uncle Low from the Go. So right now I'm going to bring up my first guest.
I'm Karl Ferrell. I'm a Joliet township trustee. I'm out in Joliet right now. I'm also a community organizer. I'm part of a few different organizations, so yeah, that's what I do. I'm here for change, trying to change things to better, change the narrative, man, to give our people our equal share.
All right, so what exactly do you have going on right now, sir?
Well, right now I'm engaged in a fight with the state's attorney out here in Will County. I protested their office, and they did some retaliatory actions, and they trying to get me out of my seat. They trying to get me to get kicked out of my elected seat.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So I protested their office, and so first of all, the Will County State's Attorney is the longest sitting state's attorney in Illinois history. He's been here since '92. He got elected in '92, and he served in '96. He was gone from '96 to 2000, but he's been in office nonstop from 2000 until right now today. And so, you know, he's accumulated a lot of power in that time, a lot of political power or whatever. So, but what they do is the state's attorney office out here in Will County, it's a lot of discrepancies in the ways that they indict their cases and the bond amounts that they request. It's not an even field, you know what I mean? So, like, for example, I know a black guy out here who he had a self-defense shooting where he shot 3 people. None of them died. It was all in self-defense. His bond was $500,000 to walk. $5 million, $500,000 to walk. I know a white guy out here who beat his wife to death over the course of 3 days in front of his kids. That's a real heinous crime. His bond was $2 million, $200,000 to walk. So there's no reason why his bond should have been more than, you know, a black guy bond when nobody died in the black guy's case. Like, so that's what we're dealing with out here. So I protest the state's attorney office, and their retaliation was to try to get me kicked out of my elected seat for, you know what I'm saying, trying to wake the people up, trying to show what's really going on.
So Joliet, that's in Illinois, correct?
Yeah. Yep. 25 minutes south of Chicago.
25 minutes south of the most segregated city in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
How segregated is Chicago to people that don't know?
Oh man, I mean, you got Chinatown, you got Jewtown. You know what I mean? It's Chicago, real segregated. Every community, historically, like every community has been like one ethnicity. Some of that's starting to change today a little bit, but historically, for the most part, you know what I'm saying, the city is still very segregated. You can grow up in the city your whole life and go to school only with people of your color and your race, you know.
All right, so let me get this straight. You're not from Joliet, right?
No, I grew up on the south side.
You want to shout out your neighborhood?
Yeah, from the Coop. What's up? What up to the Coop? Yeah, Coop Park.
Okay, so also we have a very special guest that's on the phone line right now. So on the phone line with us is Alonzo Waheed. Alonzo Waheed, why don't you tell the people who you are and where you're from?
What's Alonzo Waheed? I'm the organizing director with Equity and Transformation. and the fight that we're currently in right now, right? Because I want to get straight to this. I want to thank you, Carl, for showing up today, and I definitely want to thank you for allowing us to come on the show to give the people the information that they need. One of the things that we're dealing with right now is the fact that what's not being addressed is the impact that the Joliet jail and I mean the Joliet prison and Stateville Correctional Center has had on Illinois as a whole, where individuals are being pulled out of their community. The individuals are able to build a livelihood off of incarcerating these individuals in these two prisons. And this is what one of the main things I want to talk about, that even after these individuals are released, that they're still not fully free. And that is a big part of what this conversation is going to be about tonight. Like, what is it going to take for us to be fully free, even if the individual has went, served their time, served their debt, that they come home and they're still having these permanent punishments hanging over their head where they can't be a viable individual in society, or their past is now formed to not only continue to penalize them, but it can be weaponized against them, even if they're doing the right thing. So again, I want to start off by saying thank you, and let's go ahead and get into it.
Growing up, were you in a single parent home?
Yeah. So my parents, when we moved to Joliet, me, my mother, my sister moved to Joliet in like 95, end of 95, close to 96. And that's when my parents like officially separated. But you know what I'm saying? The house was, there was a lot of turmoil in the house, prior to that, leading up to that. You know what I'm saying? I grew up during the 80s, the early 90s. So that's when the crack epidemic, was really hidden. And, along with the war on drugs, but it affected my household intensely. And so the household was divided. I grew up basically in a single parent household.
All right. So when you say you grew up during the era of crack, explain that.
Okay, so man, that's a big thing to explain. Okay, so basically, the crack epidemic. What's factual now that like we could prove this. I mean, they even have a show on TV that shows Snowfall, right? It shows how Rick Ross was affiliated with how the CIA infiltrated the black communities, and they used, black hustlers to fund a war in South America, right? Cocaine. But what happened with that was that people used to freebase or whatever, but they found out how to turn cocaine into crack, and it just took off. And it was an epidemic, and it was a really, really highly addictive drug. It destroyed the communities, and along with that drug, at the same time, it was a war on drugs. So if it wasn't a crack cocaine destroying the home, it was the war on drugs. You know what I'm saying? The men getting locked up and taken away from the family for minor drug offenses, but with the laws that were passed, they were getting extensive punishment for those drug offenses. So it was destroying, the community.
Okay, so the war on drugs that was brought to us by President Ronald Reagan, right?
The war on drugs actually started by Richard Nixon, and then
and then Reagan he picked it up and he exploded it. Everybody is always familiar with this is your brain, and now this is your brain on drugs, right? When they crack the little egg and they put it in a skillet. But what they did not talk about was the fact that they had designed that war so that they can fund the Nicaragua war, right? And that's what Snowfall shows. But what was more important than that is the fact that even after this has been proven and they have all of the information that they need, that the United States government was never held accountable for that, and they never repaid their debt to the communities which they devastated. Because that wasn't the only part of it. The other part that comes from this, right, and I think it's a great introduction to a segue to the fact that we're here talking about the Fully Free campaign, is that individuals tend to forget the 1994 crime bill, right? So with that crime bill, they was able to now say, with this war on drugs, let's go into these communities and lock these men up, right? And in the communities that were targeted were black communities. Individuals forget who were the authors of that, which is our current President Biden, and then our past president Bill Clinton, which helped to also prop this up, right? That they said, okay, these were the communities that we're going to target it, and that we're going to make sure that we label these individuals super predators. We're going to demonize them, ostracize them, tear these families apart. And it was all in a way to use fear mongering, gaslighting, to make sure that everybody is afraid of all of this, so then that they could just get these political positions, and all understanding and knowing that this war on drugs was really a war on our people.
Well, let me ask you this, Alonzo. Back then, if you was looking at the neighborhoods, if you was looking at the crime in the black community, do you think that the war on drugs was justified? Because let me say this. All right, so I can remember a time in Chicago where we had a campaign to get rid of the liquor stores in Chicago. This campaign was headed by a reverend, a very popular, popular reverend, headed a campaign to shut down liquor stores, thinking that alcohol was the issue. We came to find out that majority of the businesses that were shut down in the community were black-owned liquor stores and bars. Not only that, people had to go out of their neighborhoods to even get a beer or get some wine, right? So now you got the issue of going outside of your neighborhood, and that could bring other problems because people may not know you. Now, it all sounded good, right? It sounded good. It almost sounded like the war on drugs. Why should we vote for this war on drugs? It's because drugs are tearing up the community, just like alcohol. So it sounded good. But looking back, I think that was a stab to the back of the black community, considering the fact that majority of the stores and businesses that shut down were black. What do you think about that, Alonzo? That was done by a black man.
I think that we have to be very mindful and look at this in its totality. And I thank you for bringing that up without us deviating from the conversation. If you were to look at the fact that there are no black-owned distilleries, that there are no black-owned, definitely black-owned liquor stores, that there are no black individuals that own any type of liquor labels, that all of these individuals, when you're seeing Ciroc and you know all of this, these are individuals that's getting advertising dollars. Like, we're not owning those companies, right? That points to exactly what you're saying, that anytime that it came time for us to own something, that we was pushed out of it, right? When you see that all the time during Prohibition, individuals were demonized and ostracized, right? And they said that it was evil until white America was able to capitalize off of it. That's when they individuals are touted as geniuses, when they was doing the exact same thing that we was doing. Then, and the proof of this is that, you know, you don't hardly hear individuals talking about it, but Jack Daniels, 2 years ago, they had to admit that it was a black man who they got that recipe from, right? It's all the time, as long as they could continue to benefit off of the black people's backs and off of their genius, then it's okay, because these are industries that's taken away from us. And once we had these industries, such as individuals always talked about the numbers game, right? That was an industry in our community. But then again, this was able to help a man able to be a man, feed himself, feed his family, take care of himself, right? But then it was then criminalized until they figure out a way that they could make money off of it. Now nobody has a problem with individuals playing the lottery. Nobody has a problem with individuals buying some liquor. No, right now, today, we see individuals in the cannabis industry, they're popping up dispensaries everywhere. But if I was outside on the block and I was selling weed, they want to come and they want to lock me up. But that weed was helping me to take care of my family, right? And I think that that's very important that you bring that up, because not only are these individuals locked up, but then they're also creating a criminal background from them that's preventing them from being able to move forward in life. And this goes all the way back to the days of slavery. Once they said that the slaves were free, they started creating black codes. They started creating Jim Crow laws to make sure that now they can put you back in slavery so they could continue to make money off of you. And that's what this whole conversation is really about.
A lot of times, the real root of the problem is not addressed. So there's always historically, right? Especially in America. Let's just go with let's look at the police. Let's look at what they do with crime. So crime can be solved like easily. If it's more opportunity, it's less crime. Like that's period. You know what I'm saying? Numbers don't lie. If it's more opportunity, it's less crime. But instead of taking the money, like the taxpayers' money, and putting it towards things that create opportunity, they take that money and they put it into the police. More police don't prevent crime. In Roseland, when there was a lot of liquor stores, they associated crime with the liquor stores because they associated people hanging out in front of liquor stores as the people producing the crime. But if you take the liquor stores away, then the people who were in front of liquor stores are just going to move somewhere else, right? So it just, so like you said, it took money out of people's mouths and not necessarily deterred the crime. What would a true solution for the crime would have been economic stimulus for the community.
Looking back, it was a great idea. I signed on for the program, but it was a great idea until we saw the repercussions from the idea. And the repercussions, like I say, was black folks who owned liquor establishments for decades. They couldn't transition to food like the Arabs could, right?
Right.
So now we're forced to go out of our neighborhood, and we may have friction within other neighborhoods, right?
I think another part to that is that there wasn't no industry, and that still is not an industry that's created for black people. We do not have our own industry in our communities. And as long as we do not have that, we're going to always have a problem when it comes to economics, because they're not solving the problem. What it is like you've all said, is let's remove the way that this looks. But the fact is, you have people self-medicating through alcohol because they're dealing with the fact that they're not making enough money.
Exactly.
They're not able to truly take care of their families the way that they want to. And this was a way for them to self-medicate because the problems were not solved. So whatever problem that they may have been dealing with, or if they wanted to celebrate, right, they was able to use alcohol as a means to do that. And the only thing that happened is they had to go further to find a way to deal with that, to self-medicate, to use that means to do that, because the problem never went away. And the problem is still here with us today.
And I'm glad you just said that, because that's the same thing going back to when we were talking about the crack epidemic. You know what I'm saying? It was a cheap high that was taking a lot of people away from their problems. And I mean, it's not like the 80s and the 90s were really, really good years for everywhere we call the hood. Like, we got to go back to the tenement living and the redlining and see how, you know what I'm saying, the money was taken away from communities and how those communities were devalued and deindustrialized. So it was nothing there. The opportunity was gone. There was no hope. And once you establish, once you create those kind of communities, people are always looking for an escape. So whether it be the liquor or the drugs or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that was the reason, that was the cause, that was another cause of the spread of the crack epidemic. Because at that time specifically, people were still living in the ghetto. You know, these are the years right after Sanford and Son.
And I think that also along with that, right, we'd be remiss not to state the fact that in the 1930s, the FHA refused to insure houses for black families or even insure houses in white neighborhoods that were too close to black ones. And this is what you call the redlining, right?
Yeah.
If you don't understand that there was a direct path to success if you was able to buy a house at that time. You was able to take that house, leverage that house for college education for your child, which was going to ensure them success because now, right, they could go in and they can get a job saying that I have a degree. This was right after the war, right after there was no more jobs, right? All the industries were being shut down, and this was a way for them to stimulate the economy. But they left the black community out of that stimulation process, and they said that it was illegal, right? This was the law. The FHA said it was illegal for them to put that money in the black communities, right? So we have to, and the reason why I'm making sure that I'm expounding on that we have to understand that this was the law, right? These are the laws that we're talking about that's designed to keep our people in a desperate, impoverished state, and that needs to be addressed.
So we brought up the war on drugs, right?
Right.
And one of the main profiteers of that is our president now. Did you vote for Joe Biden?
No. Hey, that was a slippery slope right there. Like, you didn't have a good choice. You didn't have a choice. Either way, you had two snakes. One of them was a rattlesnake, one of them was a boa constrictor.
One of them was a snake, and one of them appeared to be, let's just say, an eel, a harmless eel, or worm.
There's an electrifying eel.
Let me just say this: more racist white folks was fired during Trump's presidency than any other president.
More racist white folks got empowered during Trump.
You think so?
Yes. You want to know why? Because he put the language out there that enabled them. Man, come on, man. Think about everything that happened. Think about North Carolina. The Klan wasn't marching like that. The Klan started marching on social media again. The Klan, they started a whole nother white nationalist movement when Trump came into office. That's serious. They serious.
Can't be serious.
People been dying, man. They lynched a whole bunch of people while Trump was in office, bro.
People was dying while Obama was president. People was dying while Clinton was president. The difference between Trump, you're right, he empowered those people to step out. And with the internet age, those people were getting fired from their jobs. People were losing business because they spoke so much. They thought they could, but it was all the time. It was a trick. It was a trick. And I feel Trump, he tricked those guys. He tricked them. He didn't. What law did Trump make? In fact, Trump let loose black celebrities, notable black celebrities. Trump didn't start a war. My daughter was in the army during Trump's presidency. I'm glad she's not in the army right now. You know what I'm saying? Now we got Joe Biden claiming to black America, you're not black if you don't vote for me. What's the difference? The difference is Trump allowed white folks to think that they were going back to the Dixie days. But Biden is signing measurements. He's actually, what did he just do with the lynching bill? He left something out that was important in the lynching bill. Just signed it while the war is going on, so that we can have our heads turned towards the war that we shouldn't give a damn about.
Real.
And this is why I say we're listening to what both of you all just said. This is why I say that it's important that individuals have a clear mind, stay focused, educate themselves, so they understand that we can't keep on relying on having to choose between two evils, right? We got to say that whole system needs to be eradicated, and we need to be building something for ourselves. Because as long as we rely on them to build something for us, and we're not having anything to do with it, right? It'll always be what they want for us and not what we need for ourselves.
Let me ask you this, Alonzo. If we had the choice to go back to segregation, would you want to do that?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, that's what I like about Trump.
What Alonzo said, that was the next thing I was going to jump into. The fact that like what we got to understand is that so one of our problems is some of the things that you said, right? It's a puppet show. So just because he freed Kodak Black and Lil Wayne, don't mean that guy was our friend. That guy had a whole bunch of really, really racist people. And I'm not talking about like a little bit. I'm talking about like Gannon, who was in the White House. I'm talking about Jeff Sessions, who killed a lot of people while he was in Alabama.
Who did Obama have in office you had a disagreement with?
He had a few people I had a disagreement with.
Joe Biden, number one, right?
Yeah. But listen, wait, this is what I'm saying. We got to understand that on both sides, on both of those sides, Democrat and Republican, neither one of those systems have ever historically worked for black folks.
So how you gonna change it?
Man, first thing we got to do is make sure what I'm trying to do is get that understanding out there. I mean, knowledge is power. So if people can understand what's really going on, you know what I'm saying, then they have no clue. If you know better, you do better. If you knew better, you do better, right? So you got to get that understanding. You got to get the information out there. You got to give facts out there. And then once I can get the people to understand these facts, then they view will be different. Then it won't be, oh man, I got to pick. Then they can understand that the power is with the people. That's why they had that whole thing in the 60s, man, when they started killing all the black leaders. Anybody with the ability to unite the people, they had to go. Because there's truth in that. Like the power is with the people. Especially in this form of government they got a democracy. We want a republic, but in a democracy though, the people control the democracy with their vote. So if people realize that like these state's attorneys, these sheriffs, these judges that are slamming our people, us not voting or us voting without knowledge is who putting these people in place to do this to us in our communities.
Let me ask you this. The Joe Biden statement, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. What did you feel about that?
If you don't vote for me, you're not black. I mean, that was Joe Biden got a history of crazy statements. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he got along. He said way worse things than that. He said some crazy stuff. He's not my friend. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand he not for me. I understand the way this system is not for me, man. It's not for us. You know what I mean? It's a whole dismantling we have to do, right? Nothing is ever given. Power is never given away. You have to take it away.
So you said, and to take that power away, you got the what?
You got to have the people ready. They got to be ready.
So that is when the question was asked, right? And we was getting ready to segue. I think that when we was talking about the history, right, and what needs to happen, and we talked about whether or not I agree with segregation. I definitely agree with segregation, but I also, with agreeing with segregation, believe that they should give us everything that we need to build everything that we're supposed to have. And I saw this power shift coming that way because we wasn't asking for it. As a people, we was taking it. And a lot of times I'm very remiss to speak about this, but it was an issue where a group of men got together and they started a movement called 21st Century Vote. And when they did that, those individuals came under fire, and they're still being held as political prisoners right now. So this is how serious this really gets, right? This is how, again, the permanent punishment comes into effect, because once individuals rise up and they get knowledge and they understand how to organize and they start moving in power, what happens is once you're able to unite individuals, you're deemed a threat. All right. And you're deemed a credible threat when you're showing that you can do it. And this is the serious part. They're looking at getting rid of you at that point, because now all the games and everything is done away with. Here, a black man that's sitting up here organizing these people, awakening them to what's really going on, and he's organizing them to move against this machine. And then now you're being labeled a threat. And this is the seriousness to this. And this is why we really have to wake our people up, saying if you're saying that you're serious about this and you're talking about moving this way, understanding what you're really coming up against and what you're going to have to do to survive this. And that's why I'm really here today.
Can you explain the knowledge that you do know about 21st century vote. They're responsible for putting the first black woman in the Senate of Illinois.
Care Mosley Braun.
Yeah, and that was that whole thing, man. I remember that. Where anybody from Chicago who from Chicago remember that, because that was when the concerts was going on. That's when everything was, was changing, and you saw it. You saw the structure changing to where like, man, guys had to go to school. I know I got an uncle who's in law enforcement, and he tells me, he say the biggest mistake that was made right now, that's admitted within law enforcement, is taking everybody who has some kind of authority under structure off the streets. Because when they did that, it's total chaos. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I remember that. I remember the 21st. I remember 21st century. That was a huge thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay. Karl.
Yeah.
Rod Blagojevich, the ex-governor of Illinois, was just on Vlad TV, and he said how he helped Obama in his presidency, and Obama left him in jail to rot. Now, Blagojevich was a Democratic president who was set free by
Democratic governor.
Democratic governor who was set free by President Trump, which happens to be a Republican. Why did Trump set Blagojevich free and Obama did not?
Bro, I don't know. What I do know is that they part of the system that needs to be changed. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, you know what I mean? They part of a system that needs to be changed, because that system has not been here for us. That system has not came. That's still the same system that will allocate billions of dollars, you know what I'm saying, to police departments across the country, but would not allocate billions of dollars to impoverished communities to bring hope and change into those communities.
Alonzo, do you think that President Obama has some sort of obligations to Governor Blagojevich? That's what he said on Vlad TV. He said that he helped Obama into office, and what he did was really not a crime. It's several political figures who've done the exact same thing that was not arrested. He's the only political figure that stood 1 minute in jail for what he was accused of doing. What do you think about that, Alonzo?
I think that is so much that's going on behind that I can't answer that the way that I truly would want to, because I don't have enough information. What I do understand is this, that when it comes to this government, that they could do what they want to do, how they want to do it. I done saw too many individuals be locked up under secret indictments that nobody had any proof about what they done, that somebody else is sitting up here making a decision about you. Or I've also saw individuals be caught up in conspiracies just because they talked to somebody who talked to 2 or 3 other people removed, and they're trying to charge them for the rest of their life, even with acts that was committed when they was 13 or 14 years old, and putting them in a conspiracy with individuals that they've never even met. So when it comes to this government and what they want to prosecute and how they want to prosecute it, they do what they want to do as long as it benefits them. I believe that just as a person, as a man with any morals, if this individual has done something for you to help you to get to where you've gotten, and they're in need and you can help them, that you definitely should help them. And that's why I say, but I don't know everything that had happened with that situation or what was going on behind the scenes. But I definitely don't think that he should have just been left out there like that. If he could have been definitely, if his time was up, could have definitely gave him a pardon the same way that Trump did.
All right. So, Karl, I want to go back to 21st century vote. That had some type of ties to do with Mr. Larry Hoover. Am I correct?
Man, from what I hear, yeah, from what I heard, yeah, I guess, from what they say.
Is that the reason why they still are holding Mr. Hoover, even though majority of his co-defendants were released under the the CARES Act?
Man, I mean, in my opinion, they holding Jeff and Hoover for the power that they got, because they know that those are people who can unite and lead. And it's the Judas, it's the whole the Black Messiah thing, man. Like, I mean, in reality, because with the 21st century thing, that showed them that, like, this is more than that. This is more than what y'all think it is, because the power is with the people. So now we finna get these people to the ballot. So if you got that many people moving to control the ballot, it's not just about a vote. This is about money. You know, money is still the root of all money. It's all about money. Everything's about money. Power is money. So if you control the money, if you control the vote, then you win that vote. Then you got people controlling the money and where the funds are allocated. You got and that goes, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing going on out here in Joliet. We figured it out. We figured out they little power circle. And that's what we're trying to dismantle. And when it comes down to it, it's not that, you know what I'm saying, it's people speaking out. It's that if we speak out and we disrupt their money, that's a big thing. When they got 300 million coming down, or they got $39 million coming down, and, you know what I'm saying, they can put their friends in places to allocate that money to them, and they allocate that money to their friends or their close associates, organizations. You know what I mean? And then we step in there and we try to educate the people and say, not only are they still in front of community, but, you know what I'm saying, they unfairly, you know what I'm saying, charging, indicting, and prosecuting us. Right? So yeah, that's a big thing. So that I don't think it's not just that, it's the whole fact that some guys, Gino too, like all them guys, man, all them old heads, Gino, Jeff, and Larry, all in the same place, man, and they all had the ability to structure something, to make something out of nothing, and to structure that, you know what I'm saying, and make a movement, man, and have the people behind them, and like, man, that's dangerous. The biggest danger to systemic oppression is a black man with the ability to educate his people, man. That's throughout history. You know what I'm saying? Them people always got to go, because that's the biggest threat to the way it is right now. Because if we educate our people, if our people woke up, man, in mass numbers, the whole world would change.
Right. So let me ask you this: what are you doing to change the system?
Oh man, I'm telling the truth. That's all I could do. You know what I'm saying? To change it, I got to tell the truth, man.
That's why you've been coming under fire.
Yeah.
That's why they're looking at removing them from office because of that. And the biggest part is they're weaponizing his criminal past to remove him from a position that will be able, that he's operating in and telling the truth and helping his people. And that's one of the things that we're talking about with these permanent punishments. How is his past now preventing him from coming into a community, being a model citizen in a community, supporting and helping his people, and then he get penalized from that? And they say, because of your past, you should not be able to do that. And then, that's right there is what the biggest issue is.
Can you elaborate on your criminal past?
Okay. Well, so I caught my first case when I was like 17. The police put a case on me when I was 17 out here. It was like some project. It was some project build, some housing, and they got some housing out here, some buildings. And if you inside of the gate by those buildings, they consider it trespassing if you don't have a pass. You know what I mean? And so I was inside the gate. I was over there. I was with a little chick, and I was inside the gate, and the police pulled up, and it's trespassing, so they could initiate a search. And so what they did was they detained me to initiate the search. They went inside the building, found something, and they put it on me. They said it was mine, even though it was more than 30, 40 feet away from me. It wasn't mine, but they said it was mine. So I was 17, went to the county, and the public defender was like, man, if you plead guilty, you know what I'm saying, you can go home today. You'll get a little probation. It's nothing to worry about. And so I did. I didn't know, you know what I'm saying, I didn't know any better, man. I didn't have any guide. I was out there, and And yeah, so I pled guilty, and so that was the start. Because once I pled guilty to that, they cut off a lot of my opportunities. I took my pre-ASVAB. I was going to the Marines, and man, they was like, no, like you gotta wait to see what's going on. And then once I pled guilty, they was like, well, you can't come to the Marines with a drug conviction. And I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? So then with the jobs and even with the schooling, back then they had that question on a FAFSA application, like, have you been convicted of a felony?
Today they had that question.
They still got that on there? I thought they had to remove that.
Well, I lied and I still got my grants. Feed the family, right?
Yeah. but it shouldn't be there in the first place. Because that's the whole thing. You asked me a question earlier about what we're trying to do and to change things. And one of the things that we're trying to do is remove permanent punishment. Because that's actually that is a badge and incident of slavery, permanent punishment. So it's really illegal. And that's what I mean, like waking up the people, because if the people actually understood how much of this language is here that we could use against the same system that's oppressing us, man, it's crazy. But it's a lot of stuff that's written already in law that like they technically they can't use that. Technically, there should be no permanent punishment. As far as the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution is written, there should be no permanent punishment. You have certain inalienable rights that you cannot lose. So for me to catch a felony and then I lose my constitutional rights, the right to bear arms. I can't get my FOIA card, right? So that means I'm not a full citizen. If I'm not a full citizen, why am I paying taxes like a full citizen? That's taxation without representation. That's crazy. That was the reason for the Revolutionary War. People got to wake up and understand what's going on. Once you repay your debt to society, you should be free. Fully free.
You should be fully free.
Fully free. You know?
And that's one thing that I did like about Trump. You know, he got the white folks to come out, show their faces, and look at how many World Star videos was made because of Trump was the president. Hell, I made 1 million videos about Trump, but President Biden.
Bro, Trump got a lot of people killed. Like
Biden.
Trump got a lot of black folks killed, man. I don't know why you. I mean, look. Like
Tell me how.
You said tell you how. Okay, we just gonna start with North Carolina. We start with the tiki torches and the things that happened after that. We start with we can follow that path all the way to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse killed white people.
Kyle Rittenhouse killed. You know what those white people he killed were doing? You know what someone was doing?
Burning down buildings in the black community.
No, that's not
the guys of Black Lives Matter.
Listen, Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, why were the people even out there that day? Do you know why? You know why?
I know what you finna say. I understand what you're about to say, right?
I'm saying,
that's the whole argument.
People might not understand. So why were they out there?
They were out there to start trouble.
No, they were out there because the police shot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times.
Let me ask you this, bro. Let me ask you this seriously.
Yeah.
Because I saw the video footage, and Kyle Rittenhouse is a goddamn hero. And I'm gonna tell you why he's a hero. Somebody try to hit you in the head with a fucking skateboard, bro. That's a deadly weapon.
So okay. So if you yourself right now, right,
get hit in the head with a skateboard, and I got a gun on me.
No, if you in Iowa right now, and you illegally come across state line in the Rock Island.
See, that's what you wrong at, bro, because they found out that I think either he picked the gun up from the state that he was in because it was at his father's house or something like that.
It was an illegal gun. He still wasn't old enough to have a gun. If you had a gun,
how old was he? I don't know how old
he wasn't old enough to have. He's 17. He wasn't old enough to have a gun, man. He wasn't old enough to have that rifle. That was illegal. Either way, when it was illegal.
Why did the police drive past him?
Because he was white. Period. Cause they wouldn't have drove past me. If they got reports of shooting and I'm out there with a rifle strapped on my chest, they wouldn't have drove past me. That's white privilege. And so those people
They wouldn't have drove past me. They wouldn't have drove past me even if somebody else was shooting and I was just standing there. It would have been that I fitted the description.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I got you. But to me, Kyle Rittenhouse killed white people that were coming into the black community under the guise of we're here to help. But they really wasn't. They were beating a man damn near to death in the middle of the street. It don't matter if he had a legal gun or an illegal gun. In some places, even having an illegal gun, if your life is in danger, you still have self-defense, right?
One of the biggest things, and I love this conversation because, like, this is the real part, right? One of the biggest parts about all of this is, like, how we as a people are unfairly viewed when it comes to our white counterparts. Because all of the laws and everything that's there, like you just said, if that's what the law is, because we saw this with Stand Your Ground, right? That these individuals can say that this is what the law is, and then this is what's applied to them. Whereas me, right, me myself, if I say that this is what the law is, how come it's not applied to me? All the way in the very fact of, if I'm going to court and I have a public defender, how come this public defender is not truly defending me? The same way that a lawyer, right, a paid lawyer would be defending my white counterpart, because that's what the public defender is there for. But what ends up happening is that I end up getting told that I should make this plea deal, which is going to cost me a whole lot, that's never ever told me that, you know what, I'm going to have this hanging over my head for the rest of my life. Whereas my white counterpart is told that, you know what, we're going to make sure that this has to be to the letter of the law, and the fact that they did not pursue this the right way, this is going to be thrown out in discovery. So this will or is going to be automatically sealed, right? Because this is what actually happens. And these are the things that I'm glad that you all are bringing up, because this is what we need to talk about. When it's our white counterparts, they are dealt with and judged differently than we are. And we have a conviction rate right now as 90% of African-American males have been sitting up here convicted off of plea deals, where you ain't even have to sit up here. They don't even have to actually do their job, because their job has become, let me get you to plea out. And then what happens is you have these permanent punishments hanging over your head that you never thought was there. All the way to the fact that it's one of the most senseless permanent punishments is that if you're a convicted felon, you can't even be the managed estate of your parents, just because you are a convicted felon. So if your mother or your father was to die, you can't be the executor of that estate. So now who's going to bury them? Something that's super archaic, never should have been there in the first place. But these are the laws that's created that sometimes don't even make any sense. And nobody is talking about that part.
Alonzo. Let me ask you this, Alonzo. How long has that law been in effect?
Since 1975.
So that's a reason why the police would want to arrest. That's one reason why the police would want to arrest a black person, right? So let's get to Karl. What are you going to do to change this situation?
Man, like I say, we got to, well, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to finish fighting this fight and make sure that they can't get me out of my elected seat, because they're not going to use their power to instill fear or fear mongering to, you know what I'm saying, get me to shut up. So we're going to do that first. After we do that, and while we're doing that, we're going to continue to educate the people and bring the people out so that we can instill, you know what I'm saying, the correct knowledge and give them the correct foresight and get these communities activated so that they know what's going on. They know what's happening right in front of them, right up under their nose. And so that we could get some kind of equity and we could transform these communities.
Are you working with any political figures or any groups?
He's working with Equity and Transformation, and working with the Fully Free campaign. And we're looking at, right now, I'm down in Springfield. This is lobbying session. And we're looking to have this legislation passed, which is called the Free Act, to remove one of these permanent punishments. And we believe that removing this punishment, it'll be able to highlight the fact that all 1,186 of them should not be there. All right, because like I said, most of this does not make any sense. But if like I wasn't on your show today, I would ask you to just, be able to poll your listeners to see how many individuals actually knew that this law even existed. And that's the goal, to show a lot of laws that we don't know that's in existence, that's steady hanging over our heads, and that detrimental to our health, that we don't even know anything about. And I also believe that we would not be making a lot of the decisions that we're making if we knew what we was really up against out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the next step, Karl?
So I'm at a press conference within the next 2 weeks, and then after the press conference, or actually we'll have a rally the same day of the press conference, just to bring the people out, to get people to understand what they're doing, how they're using retaliatory tactics to, try to silence my voice out here.
We're also asking individuals that's in Illinois to sign that petition, especially individuals that may be systematically impacted, which means that they are a convicted felon or individual that have been arrested. We're asking them to sign that petition, share it with their family and friends, because they will be up under these same laws, right? And we also believe that if our voices are being heard, that they're going to have to recognize that this harm that has been inflicted on us has to be healed. They have to fix this harm, and it starts with removing these permanent punishments.
Karl, are you working with the governor of Illinois?
I'm trying to get an audience with the governor, actually, to get what's called a restoration of rights. And so it's been done. The governor has the power to give me a restoration of rights, where like the governor, he could just basically wave his magic wand and restore my rights, so that I could be a full citizen again. I could be fully free. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get an audience with the governor. I'll also be down in Springfield. I'll meet Alonzo and them down in Springfield next week. And so we're gonna see what we can do, what we can make happen.
All right. So if the governor waves his magic wand, then what you think will happen after that?
Oh, then the state's attorney, everything the state's attorney office is trying to do to me is done, and then I could just further, so I can keep informing the people about what's real and what's really going on. Like, show the statistics, the disparities with the statistics out here, as far as the indictments, the charges, the bail, the bond amount request. Like, I show the statistics, and it's kind of out. It's appalling, actually.
All right. So when I think of what you explained to me was the reason that you went to jail, right? When I think of that reason, I think that you should be able to pay to get it expunged.
Yeah, that really is okay. So, are you familiar with the expungement process?
No.
Okay, so it's a lot of things that you can't get expunged. It's very, very few felonies that you actually can get expunged for real. You can get stuff sealed, but I mean, expungement is different. And so that's what the restoration of rights will do. So you can either file a petition for clemency, file a petition for a pardon, or file for restoration of rights. And that's how you actually, clear a record for people that need to know. And Lo, we got to send you the link to the petition too, man. If it's a way you can share that with your viewers, definitely appreciate it, because we had a petition for support. It's support for what's going on with me, which is directly part of the Free Act to remove permanent punishments.
Well, definitely, I'm on board with it, but I do have an issue with Black Democrats. I can't lie to you about that.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest slap in the face is that they pretend to represent us and stand for our values, and then they use that to get in positions of authority, and then they act like they don't even know who we are and do nothing for us. And I think that not only should they be held accountable, but we should be looking at building a base to not only have them removed, but we actually put people in office that's going to truly represent us.
Here in Joliet, we got equity and transformation, Joliet, the Joliet chapter, and we definitely gonna be reaching out to the communities. We'll be at the different neighborhood meetings, neighborhood council meetings to just get involved and see the needs of each different, you know what I'm saying, each different community out here, and try to bring as much opportunity and networking as we can with us. Just as far as everything else that's going on out here, we just got to make sure that people really see what's going on. I mean, the mayor out here, the mayor had put his hands on two young protesters 2 years ago, man, and they hid the whole case. The state's attorney always steps back. He doesn't prosecute police officers or any public officials. Like, I'm the first public official that the state's attorney in out here in Will County has prosecuted or tried to prosecute probably in the last 20 years. You know, it just so happens I'm a black man. Coincidence, right? But wow. Yeah, they always step back. He always gets the Illinois State Police to do an independent investigation if they have a issue concerning any police officers or public officials, elected officials. And so, you know what I'm saying, we got to get the people involved and understand like what's really going on, the reason why the schools on the east side of town haven't had any money put into them to get remodeled in over 30 years. The reason why the schools on the west side of town have had computers that they've been sending home with the kids for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? And the schools on the east side just started using computers, you know, bookless learning 3-4 years ago. Like it's the disparities, you know what I'm saying? Because this is a smaller city. Like, this is the third largest city in Illinois, but it's smaller than Chicago. So if you're involved, you're going to see what's going on. You can see it. You can follow the dollar. And like, we just got to get the community involved. You know what I'm saying? People are so complacent because they used to what's going on. They don't see anything wrong. You know, it was slaves that were slaves. They didn't know they were slaves. You know what I'm saying? And that holds true today. Like, you if you around something, you just get used to it. You get used to dealing and coping, but you don't even understand a problem. But so we got to show these people like what the problem really is, and we got to change it. We got to fix that problem. We can fix it through educating the people. You know what I'm saying? With the free act and with people being knowledgeable about what's going on in the city that they live in.
I have one more question. It's an internet question, so I need you to either just laugh it off, say nothing, or whatever. But why does CJ on 32s claim Chicago instead of Joliet?
Leave that alone.
You might ask him, man.
But hopefully I will be. All right, so why don't you tell the people where they can find you at, sir?
Yeah, you find me at Karl Ferrell, Karl Ferrell, Ferrell on Facebook, or Mr. Ferrell 24 on Instagram. I got a Twitter too. I think it's I can't even remember my Twitter. I don't even really use it, but yeah, on Facebook and Instagram, that's where you can find me. You can follow my actions on that.
All right, your political career 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
My political career? Yeah. Man, look, 5 years from now, I'm gonna still be organizing for the community. As far as the politics, I'm not really sure about the politics. I don't really care. I just care about the people and doing what's right for the people. I'm a business owner, so you know I want to hire as many people as I can. You know what I'm saying, in front of communities who've been dealing with hardships, and I just want to be living life, and I want to see some kind of justice for some of the things we fight for.
Shout out your business.
Oh, shout out Versal Velocity, man. Shout out Versal Velocity. Black owned MBE DVE Section 3, you know what I'm saying, taping and painting company, we union. Then shout out First One Freight, Transportation, you know what I'm saying, we getting that off the ground, we going with that too. So yeah,
what happens if you fail?
Yeah, nah, it's no such thing. If I fail, I learn. I learn from that fail, and I get up and I keep going. You know what I'm saying? That's it. It's not really a fail. It's just a lesson. That's it. That's how life is.
All right, who's up and coming in Joliet politics?
Equity and transformation. The EAT team out here. Our leadership team. Yeah, we up and coming. We here. We changing things. We boots on the ground. That's who up and coming. Anybody outside of us, man. Like for real. If they not involved with the community, then they part of the same systemic structure that is in opposition to data ops. We're gonna break them down. We gotta dismantle that. You know what I'm saying? We here to bring change for the people. We here for the people, not our own personal. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. You said, you asked me about a political career. I don't care about a political career. I jeopardize that because I'm here for the people. And so the people with us, that's with this EAT team, we here for the people. And we're gonna do what's right for the people. We got black wellness camps going on. You know what I mean? We got opportunities. Yeah, we here for the people.
All right, so you're on members only podcast right now. Do you want to say, "Mama, I made it"?
Yeah. Mama, I made it. Kitty, look at me now. I told you I was gonna make it, Mama.
All right, man. So how do we help you out?
Man, go to www.eatchicago.org. I'm going to also send you that link. We're asking everybody, anybody, somebody, sign that petition so we can make sure that when we go to them, we're saying this is what the people want, right? These are the people that have been the most affected by this, and this is the change that we need.
And with that being said, I just want to say peace.
Peace, bro. Appreciate you.